And you said for week number one, it's Key High hosting Tripola this week. Key Hawk coach Chad Winters joining us. And coach, what's made you the most happy with camp to this point?
Got a lot of guys returning from last year, some good experience. Kind of picked up where they left off. You got a quarterback returning that's starting for the third year in a row. Makes life a little bit easier on the offensive side of the ball. In regards to where your development is, what you're implementing, you got a ton of new guys, ton of new skill position players. Things go a lot slower in August, but they're able to kind of pick up where they left off at, able to add some stuff. That's always nice when you're able to do that. You'll feel a little bit ahead of where maybe you were in the past.
With the experience you got coming back, how much better was this team at the start of fall camp this year as compared to where they ended last year?
Just physically, I mean, they're a year older. Obviously, we got to replace some guys from last year at some important positions that were very productive for us. Some all district type players. Collectively, we just had to have guys step up and fill those spots. But I feel good where we're at. They've been working hard. They've had a good attitude so far.
And heading into a week number one matchup, obviously you're pretty familiar with Tripola and everything like that. But how much of week number one is just trying to figure out where you're at? How much of it is getting ready for a specific opponent?
I think that first game of the season, you just have to do what you do and do it well. You know, whoever you may play, yeah, we played Tripola last year, but they could have implemented a different type of offense, move guys around. All of a sudden, you need to adjust your defense and do what you do, and you need to be able to block the guys across from you on offense and execute on offense. So we've been focusing a ton on us and how we do things. And if you do those things well, typically you see success on Friday night. If you don't do those things well, you don't see success.
And when you look at the calendar and the schedule this year with the late start to the season as compared to many years, this is the first time, and I can remember in recent memory at the very least, that you've had a full week of actual class heading into week number one of a football season. Is that a good thing?
It is. It is. Actually, we were talking about that as a coaching staff. I, I understand why they do the school start date the way it is, but we put a lot of pressure on parents of our athletes in the fall, whether it's cross country, volleyball, football, to get those kids to practice consistently. Appointments, mini vacations. I mean, the list goes on and on. Once we get in that schedule, then practice just seems to go so much smoother in regards to everybody being where they're supposed to be.
And obviously, it was a little warm earlier this week, and there's some new guidelines from the Iowa High School Athletic Association about heat index and how warm it's going to be and what you can do and what you can't do. How did you manage that in the early portions of this week?
Yeah, I think every coach is kind of working their way through that. I guess you more or less had two options this week in regards to going early or going late. Actually, it wasn't too bad here yesterday afternoon, but we had already made the decision to go in the morning. We're able to pad up both practices early in the morning, get as much stuff done as you can before they got to get to school, and it's better than a gym practice, I guess. I mean, you're able to get out and get moving around and get some things done. I understand player safety is obviously always going to come first, so um, we got to follow the guidelines. I mean, they're pretty specific in regards to what you can and can't do, which from a coaching side of things, I mean, it's here and this is what you need to do. It's here, this is what you need to do. So, I mean, there's very little gray area in regards to what you can and can't do at practice and the breaks that you got to give. So, obviously, that guidance comes from people way smarter than myself.
And from what I understand, it's always kind of been recommended you do things that way. And now it's pretty much a guideline that you're going to do the things that way. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it. The heat index, I mean, depending on where you used your little thermometer and took it, I mean that could vary drastically.
Hmm.
Go stand in the shade for a little while and things are pretty nice. Obviously, not everybody has the ability to find shade for the entire practice. So
And this week, Tripola comes to town. What are you expecting out of the Panthers?
They're always well-coached football team. I know the score doesn't indicate it, but that was a two-score game going into the fourth quarter last year down there. 14-12, they jumped out to lead at the beginning of the game. Honestly, they bring back a lot of their skill position players. I think they bring back every rushing yard that they accumulated last year. They got some athletes. Some of those athletes are a month removed from a state championship baseball game appearance. So, I mean, they've been in pressure situations. You know, they're good athletes if they help their teams get to a state championship level. We got to be ready to go.
All right, Coach. Hopefully, you can get the season off to a good start. Keep you guys healthy. We wish you best of luck.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate it.
Chad Winters, head coach of the Key Hawks. Tripola coming to town this Friday night.